All right, folks, in this PowerPoint, we're going to go over Chapter 15, Immigration. The chapter is going to break it down into the various waves. So wave 1 comes from Europe, wave 2 from Asia, and wave 3 pretty much from the Latino countries and the Caribbean. Where do they settle? Okay, most of the immigrants landed in these industrial regions. And then a lot of the Latino became agricultural based. And then you see some pockets of industrialization from Asia as well. Some vocab terms, okay? A push factor, okay? Push versus pull. Whoops, come back here. Push versus pull. Let's go back. There we go. So a push factor, think of it as something that is pushing one out of a country. It's a domestic problem. So in case of Ireland, you have the potato famine. All the potatoes have this fungus. The crop is dying. People are starving to death. So that's a natural disaster that's virtually pushing people. They have to leave or they're going to die. Scarcity of land. This is more in the mainland of Europe. Jewish persecution during the pogroms. That's how that's pronounced. This is a Russia initiative that targeted Jews and tried to persecute, imprison, and kill them. So obviously, if you're of Jewish heritage, that's going to push you out if you wanted to live. And then we have the Armenian genocide, another form where Armenians were targeted, and there was genocide taking place in Central Europe. So we've got natural disaster, just land itself for our agriculture, and then two forms of persecution, prejudice, racism, or all-out murder. Pull factors. Slide this over. A pull factor is something in America that is pulling or attracting Europeans from Europe to come over. Okay, so in that case, it's the good old American dream, right? Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Come on over. Familiar regions. When they got here, they told their relatives back home, hey, Pennsylvania is a lot like in northern Germany, okay? Or Illinois is a lot like the plains of Russia. Or the southern Wisconsin hills are a lot like the hills of Ireland. So there's a familiarity with being able to adjust to farm life here. Cities. We're going to talk about the Industrial Revolution next chapter, but that's allowing them to get job in factories, okay? In Asia, push factors. Some of them are the same. Scarcity of land. Too many people, not enough land to farm. Modernization, okay? Losing the traditional job of hand-picking rice to, say, a combine or some sort of machinery. Pull factors. A lot of these are going to stay the same. The American dream is going to be a pull factor for everybody. Gold rush in the West, opportunity to work on the railroads, farming plantation, and the quote-unquote promise for land. So again, pull factors are always things that are in America that's going to try to attract people to come here. Push factors are things in the native homeland that are pushing people away. This thing is not working. There we go. Mexican. Okay, again, escape from poverty, civil wars, and revolution. That's kind of the same thing. Pull factors, again, American dream, better wages, gold rush, opportunity to work on the railroad and the farm. So you're seeing a lot of similarities here, right? There you go. Pros and cons to immigrants coming here. Pros. Our factories needed manpower, right? We didn't have enough people to do the factory, so the immigrants kind of filled that position. It built up the cities that we now know, our major cities, LA, New York, Philly, Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta. Those are all due to immigration. More attractions for the arts, the culture, the theaters, the development of the department stores, mail order catalogs. We just saw JCPenney's about ready to close their doors. They're one of the last. Them and Sears are the last mail order catalogs. They're shutting down now. They started during this time period. And just the overall need for workers. On the negative side, poor living conditions, we're going to look at next chapter. More people, especially if they're poor, you're going to have crime. Okay, our cities weren't prepared to handle all these people, so you're living in crowded areas. The streets aren't wide enough. The sanitation's bad. We didn't have the infrastructure. That leads to pollution and, of course, disease. And the reason you're not, well, some of you are working right now, but all of you would have been had it not been for the progressives, child labor. Nativism, this is the backlash, okay, immigration backlash. Nativism is native-born Americans who think that they have inherent rights over immigrants, and they want to protect those rights. Many immigrants were paid small wages, bad working conditions, and were encouraged, use that term lightly, to become American or Americanize. There was so much prejudice at one time. You have the Chinese Exclusion Act, which prohibits immigration of Chinese laborers for 10 years. Okay, we actually closed their doors, and obviously right now we're in the midst of a type of an exclusion act going on under the current administration. Let's go, buddy. Okay, and that actually concludes the overall view of this PowerPoint. Two vocab words really important to know: the difference between a push and a pull, be able to identify the push and pull from each region, and the three regions of immigrants are from Europe, Asia, and then Latin America.